If you were to guess who had the most variants out of all of the original Cars 1 diecast, first made in 2006, you'd be wrong if you guessed Lightning McQueen, Sally, Doc Hudson, Sarge, Sheriff, Fillmore, Wingo, Boost, TJ, Snotrod, Wingo, King, Chick Hicks, Leafless, Nitroate, Red and Stanley, Luigi, Guido, and Tractor. No, it's none of those. It's Mater. Mater has been released almost every single year as a Cars 1 diecast since 2006, minus a few years in the 2010s and the 2020s. So without further ado, let's go through the history of the Mater diecast, the main Mater diecast, and maybe why Mattel changed him so much. First, we have to go back to his roots, which was back in 2006 with this guy right here. This is the original 2006 Thailand Mater. Probably one of the better, if I had to do a ranking, probably my favorite of all of them. I mean, first is the best. He's got, I would say kind of an inaccurate shade of brown, light brown. He's got the proper, lights. He's got, use this as a pointer. He's got like, the accurate tow mater, radiator springs, like he had in the movie. But the one thing Mattel always gets wrong on Mater is his wheels. He doesn't have these wheels, and he never did. They always made him like this, and they still do that to this day. But we'll get into that in a second. Here's the back of the original Mater. The lights are not colored in like they're supposed to be. We also have the A113, which is always the cameo of that room where a lot of the Pixar animators went to study for film school or whatever. I don't remember. I think that's what it was. Just an overall nice diecast, the first of an original car. Here's the base to all you newbies out there who might not have known back in the day in 2006. The base just read Disney Pixar Thailand, no production code to tell you when the car was made. Just told you where it was made. And I think that's kind of nice. Well, I still think how they do it now is nice. But without further ado, let's transition into late 2006, where Mattel switched over their factory production to China, starting with the factory-sealed 2006 Desert Series set that came with Dirt Track Lightning McQueen and, of course, Rollin' Bowlin' Mater. All the cars were made in China, and that began a 12 straight year long production of the cars being made in China. So here is the 2000 and we'll say 7 Mater, because the 2006, all the 2006 factory sealed cars are very rare. They go for like 1,000 each combined. If you have it sealed, the whole set's sealed, so it's hard to get your hands on one. Same with the MSOS set, but that's a video for another day. Here it is. As you can see, they have fixed the color on Mater, so now he fits more of his movie description. They gave him more details on the rust here, rust spots. The original one did not have any rust spots there. They just basically toned his color down so he fits more like he was in the movie. And here's the bottom, Disney Pixar China now, and now it says, this one reads 3246 EA, which means that is when they started making or putting production codes, serial numbers on the back, or on the bottom of all the cars. Here is the A113. That hasn't really changed from the Thailand to the China release. Here's a look at the first two side by side. You can honestly see the difference, You don't even have to be a Cars collector to know the differences here. And also, I would like to add, the nose is also still metal, and it's one with the whole Mater body. Now, here's where things get interesting. In 2007, late 2007, early 2008, Mattel released the third series in the Disney Cars diecast line, when, funny enough, they were only supposed to have one, but obviously, Cars just took off. People loved the diecast. It almost had a cult following, more than Hot Wheels, I would say. I will argue that. And eventually, we're now into year 3 of Cars, they release this version of Mater. And as you can see, they lightened his area around his, his engine cap here. And one main difference is, I don't know if you can see that, this is obviously one metal unibody. They now have made his engine cap plastic. So now we're starting to see, the decline of the Mater diecast as a whole metal unibody, car. So basically, in fact, this looks like it's plastic as well. In fact, this is plastic. So this is the 3rd variant of Mater, regardless of when it came out. I believe it was 2008. I could be wrong. But this is when they started to make him more, plastic, etc. So this is interesting. As you can see, it's got the bigger production code 31880A or 680A, made in China, Disney Pixar. So yeah, this is when they started to cheap out and started to go just all plastic, half plastic at least. So there's that Mater. Now, there technically was another Mater that was made between these two, and it came out in 2013 as part of the Radiator Springs Classic line, was also made in 2014. He had this nose, but looked more like this. So there is another Mater. I do have that one. It's in my retired cars pile. But he's just in such bad shape that I might end up getting him someday. Just not now. So here's this Mater. They finally corrected his rims, or the color of his back wheel, to accurately fit the movie. However, the shape is still wrong. Now it's just a cheap metal, flat eyes, so basic. Mater just sort of became just a plasticky machine. This is probably the lightest of all the Maters, I would argue. And this was the last of the China Maters that they made. So China was done making Mater after this year, after 2017. And 2018 arrives, and breaking news, to nobody's surprise, cars are made in Thailand again for the first time since 2006. And this is where we get the current model of Mater that they have been making for the last almost 6 years now. He is all metal again, which is awesome. He has some heft to it. And there it is, Disney Pixar, made in Thailand, made in the 36th week of 2018, who knows. But here is the two Thailand Maters side by side. Obviously, the base on the original is darker. This one's got a lot more, codes and stuff on the bottom. So, yeah, there he is. Here it is. They've been making this one for 6 years, like I said. And, oh, here we go. They finally started coloring in his back lights like they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be red, and they finally corrected that with this one. So here's Mater, finally accurate to the movie after all of these years. I feel like Thailand sort of combined, the past China's with, their mold from 2006. Obviously, this is not the same mold. Way off. I mean, you can even see, even I would argue his original is a little bit wider on the top there compared to this one. But I feel like they took this one from this one and kind of made their own version of it, which is nice. They did a great job. I remember picking this up in Washington, D.C. area back in 2018 when I was on a trip. I'm like, oh, they're making Mater in Thailand again. Nice. So there he is. Now the history of the Mater diecast, and arguably, we don't know why Mattel did what they did, but I would argue Mattel did it because they were trying to find the accurate look of Mater. It took them about six to seven times to get him right. As you can see, I have 5 of them right here. And they basically just made him, they had to change him each year pretty much. So I hope you all enjoyed this little bit of history lesson on Mater, and I'll see you next time.